What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck that I believe I found on PokeBeach, centered around Ho-Oh GX and Kiawe. I know I did a deck with Volcanion Ho-Oh, but this one is just straight up like centered around Ho-Oh with Volcanion in the back, but it's mainly Ho-Oh. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And as for the question of the day, Crimson Invasion is right around the corner and it's got me really excited. So what is your guys' favorite Ultra Beast? I was trying to think of something that was somewhat relevant to it, but I mean, honestly, I believe I haven't actually asked that question yet. So yeah, what is your guys' favorite Ultra Beast and why? This can be based in the TCG or the video game. My views are going to be more video game because I mean, while I'm excited for them, I don't know. I just think they're a lot cooler in the video game, but I hope that I'm proven wrong by how much they impact the meta, which I'm 100% positive they will. But if you had to ask me, I'd say that my favorite Ultra Beast would be, that is actually a really good question. Probably, I mean, the cop-out is to say Pheromosa, but honestly, I think Guzzlord, just because, I mean, one, I'm kind of a sucker for Dark Dragons. I freaking love Hydreigon. It was one of my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon, and if Keldeo wasn't in Gen 5, it'd probably be my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon. But Guzzlord has just gigantic HP. First of all, its design, its 3D design is really cool. And it has just coverage. It has all the possible coverage you could really want with it, which is kind of sort of awesome. I mean, I'm a sucker for Pokemon with a ton of coverage moves. I mean, Pokemon that are kind of locked into one type of attack. I mean, yeah, I like them, but my favorite type of Pokemon is one that can run any number of, like, well, any number of moves and have coverage to hit things super effectively. I mean, it started with Electivire back in Gen 4. Not a lot of people liked Electivire because, let's be frank, it's not really that good. But it had super effective coverage on almost everything. So since then, Pokemon that have the ability to hit almost everything relevant super effectively, I just kind of am a little sucker for. So that's why I like Guzzlord. But Pheromosa is also just kind of amazing, but it's also broken as heck and has stupid high stats. So yeah, let me know what your favorite Ultra Beast is in the comment section down below and why. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. But anyway, onto the deck. I'm going to go through this a little bit faster than normal because, once again, med school, crunch for time. Sorry about that. But really, this whole thing is just centered around Ho-Oh because Ho-Oh, 190 HP, so actually a lot more bulky than almost every other basic Pokemon in the game, except for like Wishiwashi and Wailord EX. Phoenix Burn, able to take one-hit knockouts on every basic GX without a Fighting Fury Belt, and then also multiple stage 1s, and it can be boosted with its damage output by things like Choice Band and Volcanion-EX. So basically, Ho-Oh plus Kiawe being able to get it set up in one turn is ridiculous. Like, Ho-Oh becomes very difficult to take out when it's just taking 2 prize knockouts turn after turn, and you don't even really have to worry about the multiple turns it takes to set it up, because Kiawe is just like, oh yeah, 1 turn, I got you. Your Ho-Oh is completely set up. So the synergy between those two is absolutely absurd. And once again, I'm trying out Salazzle. This one actually has a lot more promise in this deck than it does in the other ones because it's not a deck centered around Salazzle. Salazzle is just there in the back to clean up once Ho-Oh takes a couple knockouts, because Ho-Oh, in all likelihood, is going to get at least 3 prizes before it gets knocked out, just because of how quickly and efficiently this thing can get set up and how bulky it is. So by the time it does that, Salazzle's Diabolical Claws, first of all, fairly easy to power up in the background with the combination of like Volcanion, Max Elixir, and then just manual attachments when you have Kiawe to do all the attaching to Ho-Oh for you. So first of all, very easy to set up, but then Diabolical Claws is going to be doing 150 minimum once Ho-Oh takes the 3 prizes and gets knocked out, and Salazzle pretty much can just clean up the game after Ho-Oh breaks through your opponent's deck. So it's a really cool combination that I've actually been kind of having success with, knock on wood, when I've been testing this deck. So yeah, I'm excited for it. As for the Volcanion part of this deck, I mean, Volcanion, of course, like, you're running a deck that's based on fire. You have a basic fire Pokemon as the main attacker, so 100% you want to use Volcanion EX to help boost the damage output. And then you also have Baby Volcanion to help power up things in the background with Power Heater. So I mean, Volcanion is just a very, very good, like, core of the deck, although the core is still Kiawe Ho. It's just a very splashable fire energy acceleration engine, and I mean by splashable I mean only in fire decks, so it's just great in fire decks. That's what I'm going for with the Volcanion and Volcanion EX. Like, they're very splashable in almost all fire decks just because of the acceleration and extra damage they provide. One Turtonator for Nitro Tank, being able to accelerate energy out of the discard pile if your Ho-Oh does get knocked out earlier than you would want, or you just want to power up another Ho-Oh in the background. Turtonator can use its GX attack to completely power that thing up with energy from the discard pile. So basically Turtonator's like a Kiawe with energy from the discard pile. Oranguru leaves us less susceptible to things like N late game. I mean, even though it's only 3 cards in your hand, 3 cards is a heck of a lot better than 1. So that just kind of helps out with N late game. And also, you can use Psychic with it. Like, that's not something you necessarily want to do, but it is always an option. And then 3 Lele just to be able to turn 1 Kiawe into Ho-Oh is what you want to do. It's like turn 1 Lele into Bridget, but turn 1 Kiawe into Ho-Oh is what this deck is pretty much all about. So multiple Lele is good for that, and then also being able to get supporters late game. 4 Max Elixir to help with setting up other things in the background that Kiawe doesn't set up. I mean, Kiawe sets up Ho-Oh, and that's about it. So Max Elixir helps with setting up other things, and also in turns where you don't want to use Kiawe, because Kiawe unfortunately ends your turn. 1 Super Rod to be able to recur energy and Pokemon. I mean, you kind of want to have a little bit of both, and this deck doesn't have the spot for Rescue Stretcher, so Super Rod is just kind of a cover-all for that type of thing. We need 2 switches because, unfortunately, for Phoenix Burn, we can't use it in back-to-back turns, so being able to reset the effect of Phoenix Burn and then switch right back out into it if you have a Float Stone on something, or if you couple Guzma with Switch or something like that, lets out Phoenix Burn on back-to-back turns. 4 Ultra Ball guarantees gets us what we want when we want. And as for the supporters, 4-3 of Sycamore and N, usually it's a 4-4, but unfortunately N had to have 1 cut out because we are running 3 copies of Kiawe, just because you want to have this first turn. You want to have Ho-Oh into Kiawe turn 1, because that is pretty much the strategy that the deck is predicated on. And I know you have Lele to search it out, but still, just being able to have Kiawe and Ho-Oh consistently is what makes this deck work and is what makes this deck successful. And then, of course, we have 3 Guzmas, because not only do we love Lysander, catchering stuff out, having catcher effects, but also be able to switch our Ho-Oh out to reset Phoenix Burn. Couple that with Switch and Float Stone works out perfectly. As for the tools, 4 Choice Band, absolute max number, because we want that little extra damage output so that Ho-Oh and Salazzle can be taking 1-hit knockouts. I mean, less so Volcanion and Turtonator, but more so these two. That 30 extra damage can be huge in certain situations. 2 Float Stone, just because we have things that have nasty retreat costs, and then also the whole Switch or Guzma into a Float Stone Pokemon for retreat back out into Ho-Oh to be able to Phoenix Burn again, and then 13 Fire Energy, very large number, so that statistically speaking, we can hit Max Elixir when we play it, and also just to have it for Kiawe, and then also still have plenty of energy for later in the game. So yeah, I talked for way too long, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Invigorate Berserk with a Psychic and Normal deck. So if this is Garbodor, this is going to be interesting. Unfortunately, we do lose the coin flip, which is not good because we really want to go first with this deck because of, you know, the whole Kiawe ending the turn type of thing. So I start off with some not bad stuff. I mean, I have Salazzle, or Salandit, I have Oranguru, I have a Float Stone, I can throw a Choice Band, and then I can Sycamore for a fresh hand. So it's not like the end of the world or anything, and yep, 100% confirmed Garbodor because we kinda sorta saw Garbodor. So there's that. But on the bright side, we do get 2 mulligan cards. Hopefully my opponent doesn't end me out of that, or if he does, he ends me into like an amazing hand, which I can do a ton of stuff with. So yes, please, and I get a Ho-Oh. So that works out really nicely. What I can do... So we see the Eevee and the Espeon-GX, or Espeon-EX. The Espeon-EX really isn't going to be doing a whole lot in this matchup, just because... I mean, Salazzle's my only evolved Pokemon, and like I'm relying on Ho-Oh anyway, so if he wants to devolve into Salandit, that's fine, but it really isn't going to be doing a whole lot. My opponent is just going to Lele into Bridget, so that is an excellent first turn. I'm really... Man, if I can top deck an Ultra Ball, that would be like the perfect first turn for me. But as it stands, my opponent does get 2 Trubbish and a Drampa set up. The Trubbishes really don't mean a whole lot. Well, I mean, apart from... Well, the Garbotoxin Garbodor, I mean, doesn't mean a whole lot because that thing isn't going to be shutting down any... Well, I mean, I guess it shuts down Steam Up, which can be a problem, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, it will be annoying, but I have ways around it in this deck. So he is going to be able to evolve turn 1 into an Espeon. Honestly, that's okay with me. I even get a turn 1 Kiawe. So this is great. What I'm going to do is... do I seriously just want to play Kiawe and end my turn there? Let's play the energy onto Salandit. And then let's see if I can hit my Max Elixir. I do not. And then Choice Band up the Ho-Oh. I want to save the Float Stone for next turn, potentially. So let's just go ahead and Kiawe, get 4 energy, throw that onto Ho-Oh, and yeah, I can potentially knock out this Espeon GX next turn with a with my attack from Ho-Oh, and even if he gets rid of my Choice Band, then I still should be able to potentially get a Volcanion and a single Steam Up. Sorry if you could hear me yawn right there. It is, I'm exhausted right now, but I'm still trucking through. Ho-Oh is worth it. My opponent does just Sycamore, gets a fresh hand. Hopefully doesn't get a Field Blower. I'm actually okay with my opponent going for Sycamore because he didn't have Guzma. If he had a DCE and a Guzma, then he could have potentially knocked out my Ho-Oh, but luckily he did not. So we are in a perfect position right now. I can just attach the energy to the Salandit, or the Float Stone to Salandit this coming turn, and then retreat it out into my Ho-Oh to be able to one-shot this Espeon GX. And yeah, so he can go for a Psychic right now and knock out my Salandit. That's definitely a play he can do. He could also Divide GX, but he'd be wasting his GX, or he'd be using up his GX attack really, really early, and I feel like my opponent might want to save their GX attack for later, but actually they just go for Psybeam, which I think was the worst of the 3 attacks they could have gone for. Because what I can do right here is just play the Float Stone onto Salandit, Sycamore away my hand, and wow, look at all these Leles that I just don't get to use at all. So let's retreat Salandit into my Ho-Oh, and then go for a Phoenix Burn. Oh, and by the way, I was wrong. Espeon could not have knocked me out with Psychic last turn, even if he had gotten in. I get a Salazzle, so this is working out really well. I mean, I'd like to not have 3 Leles in my hand while my opponent has a Garbotoxin Garbodor set up, but I mean, you know what? We have a Ho-Oh set up, so, and we're going to have a Salazzle this coming turn. So, you know what? I'll just keep quiet for the time being. I mean, I might... hoping for a Sycamore or something like that. But I can also get a baby Volcanion on the bench so that I'm able to potentially get fire energy back if something gets knocked out. My opponent does just put up the Garbotoxin Garbodor. That's fine with me. What I can do this next turn is just switch and then manually retreat. Oh, switch and retreat my Salazzle or Salandit. Hopefully it's going to be a Salazzle. I can switch and retreat that so that my Ho-Oh has Phoenix Burn available again, but unfortunately my opponent does have an N, which is going to get rid of this great hand. Hopefully maybe I can get a Sycamore or something like that. I get an N and a Ho-Oh. Well, this Guzma actually works. I'll be able to do something similar to what I was planning to do, except I'm going to Guzma up probably the Drampa. Probably going to Guzma up the Drampa, switch into Salandit. Yeah, especially because he played the energy onto the Drampa. So I'm going to Guzma that thing up, and then switch into my... or he brings it up. So that actually messes up my plans just a little bit. So what I can do... Man, that actually really screws up what I was going to do. Because I was going to bring up the Drampa and knock it out, but the fact that Guzma makes me switch him as well. Kind of throws that off, and now he has Berserk active. So this might be interesting. If I get a Salazzle, though, I just win. Like, I pretty much just win, because there's no way he can take out both my Ho-Oh and my Salazzle. Well, yeah, I get Salazzle. So now, the fact that he has Drampa isn't going to be doing anything significant, or the fact that I won't be able to knock out Drampa isn't going to be doing anything significant. Blah, I can't talk. But what I can do, actually, is bring up the Lele, because that thing could be somewhat of a problem as well. Switch into my Salazzle, manually retreat back into Ho-Oh, and then go for a Phoenix Burn. And really, no matter what my opponent does this coming turn, I mean, assuming that he doesn't just... assuming that he attacks with Drampa. So, let's just say he attacks with Drampa. I don't know what my opponent can do this turn to keep from losing, because if he knocks out Ho-Oh, Salazzle comes in and just wins. If he Guzmas up Salazzle, then Ho-Oh comes in, knocks him out, and just wins. So, yeah, he does just go for the knockout on my Ho-Oh, but now what I can do is just promote my Salazzle. Diabolical Claws will be able to win me the game right here. And, almost clicked Heat Blast. That would have been bad. But yeah, we are able to Diabolical Claws right there. And, yeah, Ho-Oh plus Salazzle ended up being a pretty solid combo that was able to beat Garbodor. So, yeah, that ended up working out perfectly, being able to turn one Kiawe, get a Salazzle up in the background so that once Ho-Oh got a couple KOs early, then Salazzle was just able to clean up the game. So that was actually kind of a perfect example of how this deck is supposed to work. But you know what? That was too short of one, so let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against, oh my, Hentai OU, which, okay, the types of things that you encounter on PTCGO. We do win the coin flip, meaning we will get to go first, which is absolutely phenomenal because Kiawe has a less detrimental effect. And, okay, so I can... This is going to be interesting. So I can either get a guaranteed Ho-Oh up. No, never mind. Okay, I'm good. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and attach the energy onto Volcanion. Do I want to attach the energy or do I want to save it? Now let's just go ahead and attach it. And then, yeah, I'm just going to end my turn with a Kiawe. 4 energy Kiawe right onto Ho-Oh. And we are good to go. I can... If I want to, I can Ultra Ball for... Well, I can probably Ultra Ball for Lele, but if I get like a Volcanion-EX in the process, I can steam up with my Volcanion-EX so that Power Heater does OHKO this Wimpod, and this might just be very quick, especially because my opponent had to use Kukui as his supporter for turn 1, so this could be over very fast. My opponent does get rid of... Was that a catcher? I think I saw a catcher in there. So we know my opponent plays catcher, which will actually kind of help us out a little bit more because it'll reset Ho-Oh. And he's Ultra Balling. I'm wondering... Is he going to go for a Lele for next turn? That might be his play. Or he goes for a Remoraid. So let's say if he goes for a Lele, then I can just Ultra Ball for my own Lele for a Guzma so that I can knock that thing out, take 2 prizes, and just go from there. He does just decide to ram, hit my Volcanion for 30 damage, and this is great, actually, because what I can do is Ultra Ball, get rid of the Max Elixir and the Salazzle, I think. Get rid of the Max Elixir and the Salazzle to grab a Lele. Or do I want to grab a Volcanion? Actually, you know what? Let's grab a Salandit. I know I'm giving my opponent a new hand, but at this point, I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference. And okay, wow, we even get a pretty good hand otherwise, so let's go ahead and see if I can Max Elixir onto my Salandit, which I'm going to be able to do. And then let's retreat into the Ho-Oh. I mean, honestly, I just want to get this Ho-Oh attacking as quickly as possible. I could have Ultra Balled for a Volcanion GX, or a Volcanion GX, Volcanion-EX, and then just gone for Power Heater to knock my opponent out, or to knock out my opponent's Wimpod. But at the same time, like, this is a Ho-Oh showcase. I want to show it off, so I'm going to go for the slightly suboptimal play just to get that thing set up quicker and weird. So we see a Murkrow come down, and my opponent does have his Remoraid. Is he going to be able to attack me? No, he just switches into his Murkrow and goes for Octillery. So what I can also do is... Is that the smart play? What I can also do is Guzma, but that'd use up all of my resources, which I don't necessarily think I want to do. And he does have the Sycamore, so I guess it really doesn't matter what ends up happening, because I should be able to knock out this Murkrow pretty easily, and he has a couple Pawniard as well. So this is like a Honchkrow Pawniard Golisopod deck, I guess? I don't know. But I do get a Choice Band. I really don't think it's going to come into play all that much, but you know what? Might as well play it in case my opponent plays like Lele or something like that. Let's Ultra Ball, get rid of the Ultra Ball and a Sycamore to grab a Salazzle. I mean, hey, that's what this deck does. It sets up a Salazzle in the background and has a Ho-Oh just tearing into stuff actively. And, I mean, I know that I could have gone for the Volcanion play, but I think it's smarter to have a Salazzle starting to get set up in the background, and now what I can do is just Phoenix Burn. Way overkill on this Pawniard, but at this point now Salazzle is, well, I guess Salazzle was active anyway. But either way, I'm in a very, 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 very good spot, especially because, yeah, Pawniard can potentially attack this turn, or I guess if he gets a Bisharp, it can potentially attack this turn. But all I need to do is just switch into my Salazzle, knock out the Pawniard, and... or he just goes for some damage with Charge Order, okay. That really doesn't do a whole lot. What I am going to do is start powering up Baby Volk. It's Ultra Ball, get rid of N and Ho-Oh probably. Yeah, it's Ultra Ball, get rid of both of those guys. Grab Oranguru just so that I'm less susceptible to N late game. And then let's switch into Salazzle and go for a Heat Blast to knock out this Pawniard. And now that I've taken 3 prizes, Diabolical Claws will just be taking a bunch of knockouts, and I can even get another Salandit set up. Actually, never mind, my Salazzle's in the discard pile. So regardless, I'm in a phenomenal spot. I can take knockouts on anything that I want. My opponent has absolutely nothing, and we do just see the concession from my opponent, which, I mean, I don't really blame him. He didn't have much of anything. I had a fully set up Ho-Oh, a fully set up Salazzle, who also had taken a bunch of prizes at this point anyway. So, able to take a pretty quick victory off of that, and yeah, that was another match showing off Ho-Oh and Salazzle, but you know what, we got time for one more. Let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Katinka? I honestly have no idea what that's supposed to be, but we do luckily win the coin flip, so yes, I would like to go first. Hopefully we can get the whole Ho-Oh Kiawe set up, and yeah, we're going to be able to. So I really don't know if this happens all the time, but I'm really hoping it does, because this deck is working out frickin' perfectly. Like, I'm getting perfect first turns pretty much every single time. My opponent does start Drampa, and man, I even get a Volcanion. So I'm just going to attach and end my turn with a 4 energy Kiawe onto Ho-Oh, and then, yeah, that's pretty much how this turn's going to go. Like, I have Salazzle for next turn, I have a Sycamore for a brand new hand, going to be able to knock out the Drampa, and everything is coming up Millhouse right now. This is absolutely fantastic. We do see the Energy Lotto, which is weird. That's a curious card. My opponent is gonna... if my opponent doesn't get another Pokemon, he's just gonna lose. Okay, he's grabbing the Ultra Ball, so okay. My opponent knows that if he doesn't just have another Mon out, I will be able to bench him out by just knocking out his Drampa with my Phoenix Burn from Ho-Oh. And he is going to grab a Clefairy. Huh. Oh, interesting to say the least. But on the bright side, I will be able to knock out this Ho-Oh, or knock out this Drampa with my Ho-Oh. I don't want to knock out the Ho-Oh. The Ho-Oh is kind of necessary. And I get another Kiawe. That's a great thing to be able to discard at this point. And wow. Man, everything really is coming up Millhouse at this point. We can get another Ho-Oh. Do I want to... You know what? I'm just going to play this. See if I can hit it. Nope. Okay. So things are coming up less Millhouse now, but still, everything's coming up. Everything's going perfectly for me. I even get another Salazzle or Salandit out there. And then let's just Phoenix Burn, knock out this Drampa, take a couple prizes, and then... Man, I even get another switch. This is gorgeous. Like, this is going so perfectly right now. I can just even switch into my Salazzle next turn, knock out this Clefairy. My opponent seems to be playing a heavy number of Skyla, which I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, I can definitely see Skyla as a good card, but I don't necessarily agree with heavy counts of Skyla just because it's not draw supporters and you don't have Shaman anymore as Pokemon draw. So you really are relying on your supporters to draw you cards, and if your supporters aren't drawing you cards, then you're kind of in a bad spot. But he will be able to Phoenix Burn me this turn, which is kind of funny. However, Ho-Oh will be able to survive that, so I'm really not worried about this situation overall. I mean, I'm going to get Ho-Oh out of dodge as well, and put up a fresh Salazzle, who can, after it knocks out the Clefairy, hit for 150 damage at the very least. We see the Rainbow come out onto Clefairy. And then Ultra Ball. What's he going to grab? Potentially a Lele. I would think... Okay, my opponent has to be grabbing a Lele, otherwise he loses. Because if he doesn't grab a Lele, then he's just relying on top deck. And once I knock out Clefairy... Okay, yeah, we do see the Lele, so that is a very good play by my opponent to be able to at least not lose. And he just grabs a Sycamore, so that's honestly fine by me. I can even Ultra Ball for a Lele this coming turn for another Sycamore, and he will just Metronome for my Phoenix Burn, so that's actually a really cool play that's coming out right there. But because Clefairy has such... pathetic defenses, or pathetic HP, I really don't have to worry about it much at all. And I do still have a bunch of energy in the deck, so that is very nice. Let's go ahead and switch into my Salazzle, and then let's Lele. Probably grab the Sycamore, although the Guzma is super tempting. I think the play is to Sycamore. That way I can have the Guzmas late game to be able to bring out stuff, and plus Lele isn't in danger of... Lele isn't going to be knocking out my Salazzle at any time soon. So let's go ahead and power up my Salandit on the bench, potentially get another Salazzle, because I mean, hitting for 150 with 0 drawback is pretty nice, and potentially even more in the right scenario. So my opponent is going to have to go into the Lele. I can always just attach the Float Stone, or I can Guzma, or do whatever to take the necessary knockouts to win the game. A Jolteon is even there, so this is like a... It's like a rainbow... Okay, so my opponent's deck is really cool. It's like a rainbow energy toolbox of sorts. And oh boy. Man, oh, I guess I can steam up this turn. Will I be able to... Yeah, I actually think I'm going to be able to win this game. So what I have to do is go ahead and... Well, first Float Stone up the Salazzle. And then let's steam up with Volcanion, retreat Salazzle out into my Ho-Oh. And then I will be able to Phoenix Burn, knock out this Lele, and take my last 2 prizes and win the game. So my opponent had a really cool deck, just unfortunately couldn't get anything going, although the Clefairy being able to Phoenix Burn was kind of cool to see. It's like when Clefairy goes for Metronome in-game and pulls out like Sacred Fire or Aeroblast or something like that. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I actually really enjoyed playing it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.